Kenny DeGiglio, how to transition into the crypto industry. What was your number one takeaway from that episode?
The number one lesson I think people need to take away from that episode was something that Kenny definitely teaches and practices now, because he's worked with so many people who are changing industries or trying to get into a new and emerging technical industry, and it don't start from scratch. So for a lot of people who are not young adults, so once you're past 16 to, let's say, 16 to 20 years old, this doesn't apply to you. But once you're trying to seek work after that and you're trying to look for jobs that you're going to get into and you're trying to change industries, don't pretend like you have no pre-existing skills. You do have things that you've already learned. So figure out how you can leverage those things, and then how you can find jobs that require the skills you already have, and then what is actually the minimum effective dose to fill the gap between the skills you need and the ones you currently have, as opposed to what a lot of people do when they try to get into fintech or crypto is they try to just learn all the technical stuff and try to, I'm going to have to learn how to code. But people will come from sales backgrounds or management backgrounds or all these sometimes complex financial analyst backgrounds, and they just don't know that their skills directly translate, and they just need to learn how to explain them, as opposed to wiping everything off their slate and pretending like they're starting from scratch.
Hey there. I hope that you're loving this episode of the Degree Free Podcast. We spend a ton of time every week creating this content for you. So my only ask is you take a quick second to leave a review or a thumbs up on whatever platform you're on. It's one of the best and easiest ways that you can support this podcast, and this simple action can help bring more people into the Degree Free community. At Degree Free, we want to help as many people as we can thrive and succeed without needing a college degree. Your review will be a step in that direction. If you could do this small favor right now, pause this and leave a review. It would truly mean the world to us. Thank you, and back to the show. I think is also applicable to young adults as well. Even if these young adults, 16 to 20 years old, your first job, and you're like, well, I don't have any skills. You got to think back through how you did whatever tasks, whatever projects that you've had up until these points, make it relatable to your future employer. Okay, I'll just tell the whole story then. So I think it was sophomore year. In chemistry, we learn everything that there was. The year is split up into quarters. So I think for the first 2 quarters, we learned what we needed to learn for the base chemistry. And then the last 2 quarters of the last semester was all this one project, which was how to figure out how to make soap viable, and then how to market and then sell soap. In that, we had like an election of who was going to be the plant manager, who was basically the CEO of the company for the rest of the semester. And it was me. And then I had to appoint this person is in charge of the operations side, like of actually making it and everything. And then this person is in charge of the selling of it. It's a competition between the other classes as well. So whatever I had chemistry 5th period, then you would have a competition between 4th, 3rd, and 2nd period as well. And we're just seeing who can make soap viable for one, because that's the first task. But then if you're able to make a viable soap product and it doesn't burn people's hands because you messed up and you put too much lye in it or something like that, then who could sell the most? If you're a part of a project like that, and you don't even have to be the boss of it, like how I was, you could be somebody within the project. You can say, I did all of these things in school. I did all of these things for this project. And those same tasks, those same skills now transfer over to this actual job.
It's definitely something that people should consider when they are young adults. The reason I say not to overemphasize that is because a lot of times you'll have parents will say, oh, well, what about their existing skills? And it's like, well, you shouldn't let their pre-existing skills at this age determine what they're going to do in the future, because they're still really young. Unless they are an Olympian, they have some really outsized skill at something really specific. But for most people, they're, oh, what about their existing skills now? And they usually mean things that should not be dictating the type of work that they get going into the future.
I agree with what you're saying, but my point wasn't about choosing the skills to learn or choosing that. I'm just saying, like, when you're selling yourself and when they're selling themselves to companies in an interview or in the job application process or in their portfolios, things like that, not to sell themselves short and say, oh, I have to start all the way from zero. And then you can instead be like, I have all of these skills to sell and to barter with. And that's a banger of a lesson for Kenny DeGiglio. There's a really good episode.